What up, you Lab Rats? This is episode number 121 here on the Weekend Warrior. So today we're going to talk about, should I go to an event to figure out what I want to do with my podcast? Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to the Lab, your daily inspiration for creating better content. So let's talk about something. Let's talk about, should I go to an event? Because I've been going to a lot of events too, and I've been talking with a couple of other podcasters and content creators, and they're not really sure on what they should do their podcast about. And they're like, maybe if I go to this event, like Podcast Movement or this little meetup or whatever, I'll figure out what I want to do with my podcast. Okay, so this is interesting because I felt exactly the same way. Like, what am I gonna make my podcast about? So way back in the day when I had this show called the Bells and Bounty Show, because I thought I had to stick to this name that totally didn't make any sense, but I wanted to sort of do something around relationships and business, because that's what Kevin and I were doing. Like, that was our life at the time, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to make that into a show. And I thought, well, I could interview entrepreneurs, because the interview show and base and format back in 2012 was like the only thing that everybody did, and that was the thing, right? And so I was like, I can interview entrepreneurs on their relationships and how they do their thing, and maybe I can learn a little something, because we need some work. So I did that for about 60 some episodes, I think, or 50 or something like that. And I was really, really bored with it. And I felt like I was following all the rules and I was doing everything, and it was like, it was running, and people kind of knew about it because of the people that I interviewed. And I got some pretty big names on the show. And that was because podcasting was still kind of taking off. And so it was a little bit easier to get these bigger names on the show. But at the same time, it didn't do anything for me. Like, yes, it was talking about something that I'm passionate about, like, yeah, entrepreneurs and relationships. But yeah, I was bored, and I wasn't me. Like, I felt like I had to sort of step into this interviewer's sort of shoes or persona. And my voice was all high and squeaky because I was nervous, and I was trying to be somebody else, and I thought I had to be more professional. And this is right after I got out of corporate, and so I was still in this very like stiff persona. And it was just, I wasn't me. So what I would say to that question is, you know what, you've got to really kind of go through this sort of transition of self-discovery and figure out who you are. And really the only way you're going to do that is just by doing it. Okay. Whether that's being inspired, like you went to some event and you were inspired now to create a podcast. Okay, cool. And you're figuring out, okay, what should I do it on? It's like, well, yeah, there's a lot of ideas, but what's going to resonate with you? Because you're the one that has to wake up every day and do that shit, okay? So you can I could podcast on anything. I could podcast on cameras and tech and how I do this thing and how I, whatever. I think I have a lot of skills, but I don't necessarily have to create a podcast on all of that stuff. What I think you need to focus on, if you're trying to decide on what to podcast about, is what's going to resonate with you. What are you going to wake up excited to talk about, right? Like, what drives you? Because I think that is what's going to make the show, that's going to be part of what makes the show successful and get the traction that you really want. Because you're not just going to create a show and be like, well, no one's listening into it, but I'm still going to do it, right? I mean, maybe half feel like that, but like, if you guys didn't resonate with this too, like, I don't think I would do it, right? So yes, I have to do the podcast in a way that, like, it makes me a better person, the fact that I do podcasts, but the fact that there's a receiving end on the side of this mic and this camera that goes, good job, or that inspired me, or Thank you, I'm not confused anymore. Or thank you, I can now make a decision. So it's kind of a two-way street. It has to resonate with you. You have to be excited to wake up to it. That's why I would not be waking up at 6, guys, to work on this podcast if I didn't feel the feels that I have about this podcast and the receiving end of it as well. You guys who receive it. I would not be waking up at 6 to do that. Okay. I would be waking up at 6. Well, I would be waking up at 6 in the first place. Okay. I'm excited to do this because it does something for me. Like, it gets my gears going. It just, I don't know what that oomph, that you can't wait to wake up to. I can't wait to wake up and create content, seriously. Because it resonates with me so much. So for you as a content creator going, what should I podcast about? Well, it's got to first kind of pass these kind of checks, right? And then it takes a sort of experimentation to find out what that is. I can't tell for you the methodology, but certainly it has to resonate with you. It has to be something that you can't wait to wake up to and do, because you're the one who's going to have to do it, right? You got to do the work. No one's going to do it for you. And it's got to actually resonate with, your audience, and whoever that is. That takes some time to find as well. Unless you're really cool and you get it like that. Like, I wasn't like that. So I wasn't with the cool kids and got my audience like that. So that's my take on that question. Do you need to go to an event? It's great to go to an event if you get inspired. Sure. But, in the words of Gary Vee, ideas are shit until you execute, right? So this is something that I live by very, very, very intently. Ideas are very fancy. They get the gears going. Ideas are very useful. However, it won't be useful if you don't execute on it, right? So you've got to make a decision and move forward and stop being in this paralysis of like, well, what should I do? I could talk about anything. I was like, well, you do something that means something to you. Okay? Do something that means something to you. All right? So that's my take on that question. And if you like this episode, leave a like on it, because that helps. And you can join the discussion in the comments, and I'd love to see you in there. I love being in the chat, in the comments, not the chat, but the comments. And subscribe to the channel to get more stuff like this in your inbox, because this shit comes out every day. All right. Anyway, guys, so Good Things workshop still going on. It's one-on-one with me and Kevin. We're going to do some video branding. It's on June 6th. I think I've been forgetting to say it. It's on June 6th. It's in downtown Fullerton. You can find all the links for that workshop in the description. What else? I will be speaking at Podcast Movement. That's going to be in Fort Worth, Texas. If you want to learn more about that, that's an amazing event. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to go. It's like 4 days long. There's going to be like this pre-party. There's going to be like this award show thingy, like freaking Oscars for podcasters. There's going to be all the keynotes. There's going to be like some major celebs there. Well, major, I don't know. I'm not a big celeb person. And then there's going to be some after parties to go to. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm way jazzed about that. If you're going, hit me up, because I want to hang out in real life. Okay? In real life. And yeah, that's it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that. Good things. See you next time. Once again, my name is Megan, reminding you to get in the lab. So yeah, peace. Hey, thanks for sticking all the way to the end to watch this. I really appreciate it. So if you're digging the jam over here, I want you to go to getinthelab.me/join to get on my email newsletter list. So I send out one email a week, goes out on about Wednesday. And I give you a rundown of everything that's been going on over here so you don't miss anything. And I share exclusive stuff that I don't post or share anywhere else. So you're going to want to get on that to get on the inside track with the Lab Rats. All right. So good things, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.